Chapter 1. Chapter 3, does it say 813 on top?
No,
Good afternoon, everyone.
yeah, I know.
Welcome to the Master Plan Committee meeting. I'm going to call the meeting to order at 4:02. Today, Wednesday, August 17th, 2022. Do we have any changes to the agenda?
Oh.
Okay. So do I get a motion to approve the
I'll make a
agenda?
motion to accept the agenda as written.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Discussion? So moved. Okay. So number 1, review final draft of chapter 3. Is that still where we're going to start, Tara?
Yeah, there was just one thing added, division and goals, and I'm not sure if it was before or after you guys met. Let me just put it up.
Chapter 1, you mean?
Just on this, on vision and goals, we had talked about adding this regional planning commission one. Now, I'm not sure if you saw that already, or
Yes, thank you for doing that.
I remember talking about where it should go, but so there it is. Right.
Okay,
Okay, that's in chapter 1.
yes.
Okay.
It's in chapter 2.
2.1.
1 and 2 are in one file,
Okay.
and it's goal number 16. So was everybody okay with the wording of that?
Yeah,
I was.
and that's been repeated in the action plan, right?
Yes.
So everybody's okay with the wording?
Mhm.
Okay.
All right, so now I'll go to chapter 3.
Okay.
And the first change there is on page 3. We took out due to the well-drained soils. And the planning board had asked for more information on the phosphorus levels, so I made some changes in the text. And also put in this graph from the testing that summarizes a couple decades of the testing.
All right, thank you for adding that.
And there was also somebody that said, well, can't we do something besides setbacks? And so I expanded a little bit on, that it's also detergents and lawn fertilizers and soil erosion, because one of the reasons we see increasing phosphorus levels whenever we see more human activity is that dirt itself, because phosphorus absorbs to the soil particles, and then when you do construction or road sanding or whatever, and it washes into the water, it frees that phosphorus up into the water. So I expanded on that stuff.
Yeah. On the let's see, page 3.3 there, talked about that we voted to coordinate monitoring in Alton Bay. We have 3 sampling runs now done. And so by the time we'll have another one in the middle of September, it's possible we would have new phosphorus information from UNH by the time, so we could use it in this.
So why don't we change this to say something about resumed monitoring in the summer of 2022?
The Alton Conservation Commission resumed monitoring
Because
summer of 2022. There'll be 4 sampling events completed by the end of the summer.
so I've got the Alton Conservation Commission resume the monitoring of
There's 5 lake stations.
there's 5 sampling stations.
Yeah, they start out in the Broads and come down into the bay.
I'm gonna just put that in parentheses so we don't have to worry about the wording now, but I'll fix it.
Yep.
So it says that you're Zoom monitoring with 5 locations in Alton Bay.
That sounds good. Thank you.
Good.
On the source for that graph on the next page.
Yeah.
On the phosphorus, site 25, which is down near Sandy Point. That should say UNH Cooperative Extension for the in the credit.
Yeah, no, that's not what they list on it. They've kind of changed what they call themselves.
Oh, that's what they,
That's what it says on the report, so.
okay.
So is that called Station 25 or Site 25?
It depends whether you're looking at the graph or the map.
All right, okay.
Of course it does. Hey, Paul.
But yeah, us old folks still call it UNH Cooperative Extension, but if you look at stuff they print in the last few years, it's New Hampshire Extension.
Oh.
Thank you, Jessica.
And then I had a note on page 5 to update this when we learned if the Cyanobacteria Advisory Committee bill passed, and it did pass, so I added this
Right.
sentence.
Yes.
Now, I had a question here about your shoreline zoning. So I had to do some rewording because the planning board will support extending the 50-foot setback that you have now to all of the surface waters. But I couldn't really understand the wording in your zoning now.
So I looked at it this afternoon, Tara, and it looks like they were depending on the state's definition of the reference line, wherever that was as it applied to the shoreline rules.
But right now, does your, I'll make a state definition of reference line. That does answer that question. Thanks.
Yep.
And am I right that you own, your local shoreline act only applies to waters in the state's program? Or
That's all that it refers to. If you're reading it the way it's written, that's what it sounds like to me anyway.
I would agree.
Uh,
okay, so my impression was that the planning board supported extending the 50 feet to other surface waters, but not 100 feet. So this rewording was to try to get at that.
Yeah, we'll take what we can get.
Yeah, I mean, I have a town that did less than that, and it's still a step forward, and it still raises awareness.
Yeah. Then there was okay.
Yep.
And then this is also on, where is this?
My next thing is on page 9. Do you have something before that?
It's something on
Three.
page 5 too. What is the date of the enactment of the Lakeshore Residential District zone?
Oh, not sure. I will
It's
have to,
somewhere in the late 70s, I think.
For what was that question?
The Lakeshore Residential Zone or District was incorporated into the zoning ordinance in like the late 70s.
So mid to late 70s.
Yeah, because it was amended in 83. If you look at the zoning regs, that March of 83, there was an amendment. So it was existing before then. But I couldn't find out when it was originally enacted.
No, mid to
Okay.
late 70s.
I can research that
Yeah,
information.
okay, good.
I did see your email. I just hadn't had a chance to get to
Okay,
it.
that's all right.
So was that all on that page, Russ?
That's all on page 5, and then on page, no, we already did page 6, okay.
Okay, Tara?
Oh, just one other thing, Tara. I did go through the draft, the July draft of the National Resources Inventory that we got from Stony Environmental. I've most of it'll be the July draft of the way we should reference it is the July draft of the Natural Resources Inventory published drafted by them. Because the last draft that you saw was back in January, and it was just the maps. We won't have the thing done completely until next year because we need more funding once we review her work, we're going to give it back to her and say, we need to have some more edits. So we're going to need some more funding so she can do that. But anyway, it's getting there pretty close. And I went through and I checked some of the numbers that you had pulled from the map, and there was only one that was off. And that was, there are 38 this is on page 2. There's 38 perennial streams and 43 intermittent streams.
Say that again, 38 perennial and
43 intermittent.
it'd be good if you could take a look at the dates on the maps too, because I cited a lot of the maps, and if they have a new revision date.
Yeah, I will do that. I will do that.
I mean, something like that doesn't really have to be done till you're sending it to the printer, but
Right, I'll check it.
we could get that. Page 9 is just updating some language to go with the fact that we're not gonna have a 100-foot shoreline buffer.
Right.
Yeah.
Then, unless anybody has anything else, we go, the next change is on 15. And this was talking about the lighting. They wanted to make sure we talk about the color temperature of the lighting.
Yes, and that was brought up again last night at the planning meeting, so yes.
I think it is at every planning
Yes.
meeting. It's a huge thing.
That's a Scott thing.
Well,
True.
it's been found to affect human health and wildlife behavior.
Yeah.
And the blues in the colder temperatures reflect more to the night sky, so it's a multi-purpose change. 16, they wanted just the scenic, the ridge line and hilltop to be guidelines that developers are encouraged to follow rather than regulations that the planning board adopts. So
Yep.
change that language accordingly.
Thank you.
And page 22. Is more on the warm lighting because we talk about it in terms of in different topics, so comes up again.
Thank you. That looks good.
Normal lighting.
And still lighting changes on 23. And throughout, we're trying to be clear that the lighting regulations would stay in the site plan regs and apply just to multifamily and non-residential development, but there's no reason that John couldn't hand out a flyer to a homeowner getting a permit for a new garage, right? That informational. Those are all the changes on chapter 3.
They look good.
Yeah,
Okay, thank you.
Yes.
Excellent.
Land use. this was just the smallest of things that you wouldn't even have noticed on page 8, but I had a note to make sure we talk about all the marinas. So where we talked about docking, instead of just saying at Roberts Cove, I said at the Roberts Cove Marina.
Yep.
And then the next thing's all the way to page 18. And this was on page, bottom of page 18 is backing off on the
Oh, the zone.
rural residential district.
Right.
You know, so that we say that still portions of it might go to one of the new districts. But we don't say anymore that it should just go away.
Thank you.
And we mentioned parking, that was discussion about parking in the village. I just added that as a reminder, stay on the radar.
Yep.
It, you know, it really is a big issue with density. I know several of my clients are applying for the Housing Opportunity Program grants, and I'll be working on those. And it's kind of disappointing that it just targets zoning, because you know, you have a village that sewer and parking would help get more density in, and that's pretty common. It's not so much zoning that's the barrier in a lot of towns, it's infrastructure.
Mm.
It's too bad that we can't use those funds for infrastructure, or at least feasibility studies for infrastructure.
I agree.
I've got a 14-unit multifamily rehab project in a town, and it's got 2 parking spaces. So
Wow.
trying to find a way to get it, thread that needle, because it's much needed housing.
Oh.
That's-
Anyway, that's a tangent, but I thought I'd mentioned multifamily housing as being in the new commercial district, but somewhere else. But I put it here too, because the topic of housing came up at the planning board meeting.
Okay.
And so, you know, something like a bigger complex might make sense in the commercial district. So here's the new, more creative language with the rural residential zone. I said that the role of it should be reevaluated.
Yep, I appreciate that.
Do you think that's gonna work?
Yes,
Yes.
Yeah, good.
should help.
Hopefully.
Yeah, hopefully.
So, I mean, I get it. People make investments.
Right.
We'll see,
Never know.
right?
Where's the roof, you mean?
Yeah.
And I think, Russ, you would ask that there be even more language making clear that when we talk about a few business uses in the shoreline zone, that we don't mean a big hotel or something. So I added, here was an opportunity I added, or that it should not negatively impact water quality. We have that in a few places, but
Yeah, you have low impact and small scale. The thing I thought was, would it be helpful to say such as, you know, give an idea of what you're talking about, because this is going to be controversial thing to look at, because the Lakeshore Residential District is very strongly felt about by that's why it was created in the 70s. And, you know, most of what you see now, like we have the Bayside Inn, what's it, Lakehurst, next one to it. And, you know, some stuff in Roberts Cove, and some of the multiple units sharing a beach and sharing docks. That was all done prior to the Lakeshore Residential District. And there's quite a few of them.
There's quite a few.
When you look around, there's quite a few around the lake. So, and they didn't want the spread of that to keep happening. So, because that's what was happening over in Guilford. They didn't want it to look like that.
So a bed and breakfast would be one, and I mentioned that
Yeah.
earlier in the paragraph. And I mean, the thing, the thing I always have been using as an example is my friend that gives yoga classes on paddle boards, but that would look kind of silly written here as an example, probably.
But if it's I can see where home businesses that don't really change the aspect of the building. For example, there's a lot of people who work out of their houses right now. And they run home businesses out of the houses. They might run a financial consulting business or something like that.
I don't think they're on.
Lakeshore Residential also allows for you to rent your place out anytime you want to. That's been done for years, people take their cottage and say you can have it for 2 weeks in August and they rent it. But to have like a condominium development or to have a new motel, hotel, and marina and all that out in the Lakeshore Residential District, that's exactly the wrong way to go.
Do you not already allow home businesses or?
Yeah, so there are a number of them that were already here.
You don't. I see that you don't right now in your zoning. You
But
don't allow home business. So, all right. So what if we say like a bed and breakfast, home businesses that don't change the outward appearance, yoga studio?
sure.
Yeah.
Exercise studio, yoga.
There are people who do a annual yoga event on top of Rattlesnake Island. They paddle out from the dock with all their friends.
I don't think we need a ton of examples. We're not right on the zoning, but those would give the character of it.
Yeah, just
I
to
think we
illustrate the
hit it.
character. Yeah, that I agree.
If on your way home, one more great example pops in your head, feel free to email me.
Right.
And then I added this in this at the top of page 23 in the discussion of the rural district to address some concerns I heard from the planning board about.
So you say special exceptions for businesses that require a large land area but do not involve customer traffic, such as a contractor yard. Okay. Parking for trucks and buses or buses. So that could be like a first student, a bus company, something like that.
Right. I mean, I don't think we're trying to pull the rug out from under anybody, but we're trying to put the brakes a little bit on the way the rural area is changing character.
But you put in or a small machine shop, and I think that came from the comment that Lee Hillsgrove made because he's got one. But that doesn't fit with requiring a large land area, so I'm not sure that works.
You know why whatever you guys think, I thought about it and I thought it could require a large land area because of the noise.
Yeah, but a machine shop doesn't really, where you're doing metal work and stuff inside, I don't think it would make.
Well, it brings up the question of noise.
I don't think it's noisy. I mean, machine shops are enclosed places
It's an enclosed area.
with milling machines and drill presses and lathes and stuff.
All right, we can bag it. I mean, it doesn't hurt either though for people to see that you heard them.
Yeah.
Hasn't that been in there forever?
What?
Machine shop that he was talking about? That was his parents or grandparents' house.
Oh, yeah, but that's the point.
It's been there for
Been there
forever,
for years and
for
years.
years.
Right, but that's the point, is it's not about your place. It's
Right.
about what everybody, what the town.
So I
thinks.
think that looks good, Tara.
All right, yeah, no, I did think about that as because you wouldn't want it in a crowded area with the noise, but all right. 27. Go to the last thing here on, last thing on land use. Not sure we said anywhere that as part of these zoning changes, you want to be pretty lenient on giving special exceptions, but
Right.
things that are made non-conforming so they continue to grow.
Yes.
So if you're saying that it's the zone, the change, I think that's the way it is now, anyway. If there's a zoning change and you are already there before the zoning change,
That is,
you stay.
that's correct.
Always, that's constitutional law, but I'm saying they should be allowed to expand, not just stay.
Oh, I say, make it
Right.
larger, make it
Right.
bigger, yeah.
Right,
You're saying if they decide to make it larger?
Yes.
Yeah, it says should not,
Yep.
should be allowed to expand and with appropriate mitigation for impacts on the neighborhood. So if the guy said, okay, I've got a contractor's yard here, I've already had it. Can he expand it to make another acre onto that for storage without affecting the neighborhood? I should assume that would go to public hearing with the planning board
I would think so.
and you'd get,
well, it would be the zoning board, it would be a special exception.
well, it'd be the ZBA then. Okay.
Well, and then they'd come to the planning board for a site plan review.
Yeah,
But,
We've had quite a few of those come up.
but you have,
All right,
I think in looking at your section on expansion non-conforming use, there's room to make that more lenient.
I think that looks good, Tara, what you have there. I think we're all in agreement with that.
yeah. No, I didn't suggest to change it. It's just, no.
All right, now we would go to the changes to the action plan that were made to go with those same changes.
Okay.
And so the first one would be rejoining Lakes region, and I thought I could have sworn that I had a lead role in here last time, and now I don't. I guess that would be the select board probably, right?
The select board should be a part of that for sure. Because that's why it didn't get done the last time.
Select board removed us from
And
that.
that was the exact conversation we had when, yes.
Didn't the select board remove us from the regional commission
Yeah.
sometime?
Yeah, so I'll just put select board. I think I've been out of the RPC world for 5 years and I've already forgotten, but I think the planning board recommends who serves on the commission
Right.
to the select board, and the select board do the appointing. But the key is getting the select board to put it in the budget. So we'll just put it select board.
Yeah.
All right.
So many of these drafts now, I don't know which one I got now.
She's got on the header, she should have a date at least on the first page of it.
Yeah, it's always on the,
Not on that one.
Yeah.
I've got
and
so
then,
many
and then
copies.
the file name. I mean, I always send out the one that used to be looking at. The next one, we changed the 100-foot shoreline to 50.
Yep.
Mhm.
You have all these in a separate one pager that in your packet too, right?
Yeah, no, they came,
Yeah, I just gotta go through it.
I don't have that for tonight's packets.
Oh, okay.
No.
I think I emailed a one pager that,
Okay.
I have to download all those.
I think I just tweaked the wording a little bit in the 25-foot vegetative buffer for the wetlands to make it clear what we were seeing. This isn't new, it's just
Yep.
edited a little bit. Oh, I put a typo in.
Uh-oh.
you did. I didn't see
There we
it.
go. All right.
Oh, she's got them up there, so might as well just look at it.
Yeah.
Should have the one page, was in the email.
Which one is that?
The one that,
This one?
just,
there?
yeah.
That looks good.
With the hillsides and ridge lines, we changed it to providing information rather than
Yeah.
regulating it.
Yes, we do have that.
And the lighting stuff was was clarified to be only in the site plan regs rather than this below. I think I didn't make this yellow below it that I should have, about the code enforcement officer. It had said something about code enforcement officer enforcing the town's lighting
Right.
ordinance, but there really isn't such a thing. So they would just that would be the flyer we talked about, where if somebody comes in for permit for a garage, here's a flyer on lighting that would be better.
And cheaper.
Dark sky compliant lighting. Oh, here's that one. So what is, hold on a second. Yeah, so we're educating commercial owners and we're educating homeowners.
Yep, that looks good.
Oops. Here's again, reviewing the role of the rural residential zoning district.
Yeah.
One step at a time.
Yep.
In talking about the Lakeshore Residential District, I added low impact and small scale.
Mhm.
Again, just to strengthen that concept that we don't mean Holiday Inn.
That looks good.
The next one was changing. We'd taken out the words open space subdivision and putting in flexibility, because that's the direction we're going with the alternative housing committee.
Yeah, that looks good.
That's just swapping that out in, I don't remember what the change is in the next one. Sorry. But same idea. It's gonna be part of that same amendment, hopefully, that I sent out today to the committee.
Flexibility,
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
that's what it is, that word.
flexibility
Yeah,
and
yeah.
open spaces.
Yep.
might change.
Okay, yeah, good. Yeah, so that's it.
Looks good, Tara. Thank you.
So that was all the easy stuff.
It was.
Yeah.
Now we got that infrastructure. But, so infrastructure, I'm working on transportation and I'll get that out next week. School, I did school because I didn't see it come from anybody else. So, I just kind of put in what I could find online.
Can we get that? Can we ask SAU or somebody at the school to look at this?
I'm actually meeting with the school superintendent. Well, the CIP committee is next Thursday, so next week.
Maybe provide, this is what we have so far in there. Can you
Mhm.
add
Yep.
something more to it? You know?
Yeah.
Because it's not a lot. I mean, that's the
Yeah.
biggest budget item in the whole town.
Right.
So Jessica, you'll be going with these questions, right?
Yeah.
What was it? I'm sorry. What was your question?
I think what Russ is saying is that'll give you an opportunity to ask these questions that I have in here.
Right.
Yeah, since we're gonna be talking CIP stuff, so yeah, I'll have those answers.
Yep, good.
Would hope so. Hope.
Did anybody have any comments on what I did for school so far?
No,
Says we need less schools.
Yep.
business.
One of my hot buttons is the fact that I hate publicly funded schools are being replaced by vouchers and things of that nature. And that's a political football at this point. And I don't know if we make mention of that or not.
Well, I don't know
Brent-
if there's any data that you can say that that has caused it or whether it's simply.
That's the cause of the
graphics
lower
that's
numbers.
making the numbers
Could
go
be
down.
could be the housing too. If you don't have younger families with young kids moving into town because they don't have any place they can afford, the prices are too high. That could have something to do with it.
We don't
too.
have the
Exactly, that's why
data to
it's
say
down.
why that is, what she picked up on is happening. You know?
Right, do we need that?
It might be, I don't want to, we shouldn't be in the business of
I
speculating.
I
about
know,
it,
but it's something, it's a sensitive item to me personally. But I think that I suspect that these graphs are more a function of what's going on at the state level in terms of funding of education than anything we might do locally.
My personal thing is I think there is less people in town with kids.
With kids, yeah.
And, you know,
No,
we're not.
An awful lot more are being homeschooled and sent to charter schools.
That's true.
I
to
think,
some
I think
degree.
it's a lot. I think Bill probably hit it more on the head is the fact that there's not affordable housing for
Right.
young families in town, which makes it difficult to have kids come into the town for school.
Just isn't as many people moving into the region with kids and
Right.
families. That-
They should have projections, though. I mean, when Jessica meets with them, they should have projections and be able to, they should know some of those.
They would.
They would have some insight.
They
So
will know.
I would like to discuss the school more after we meet with the superintendent, so then we have more to discuss.
Yeah.
I'd like to get a
Are
little
we
bit
okay
more-
with that? Yeah,
I'd like to get a little more info on it too,
okay.
on some other things.
Are you okay with that, Tara?
Good.
Okay.
Town hall, I got the first paragraph from what I found online and
Can you?
the second paragraph from what Jessica had in Dropbox on the building needs from last year.
Yeah, on the first one, can you say the town hall was built in 1894?
I sure can.
Yes, the word built would help, yes.
There was another thing towards the back end of that, of next to the last sentence, space is adequate for current staff, but lacks a large public meeting room. Not necessarily, this is a large public meeting room that we're in, but it's not big enough for town meeting and voting for sure. But it just doesn't sound right, you know.
But it does, when she says the next line, town meeting is held at Prospect Mountain High
Right.
School. So she acknowledges that we have this large space, but it's not large
It's
enough to
not large
hold.
enough.
Right.
It's
and
not
that-
large enough to hold an actual.
Right,
Well, but
that
it
was a
doesn't say it.
concern.
That's
Yeah.
not what it says.
Right,
Oh, I'm
and
sorry.
that may have come from the town clerk's concern that there wasn't anything available for voting.
Right, but
But you're right, it
this is a large meeting room.
it is.
Okay. So.
It is.
But it's
But-
not,
Voting.
but it's not adequate for town meeting or voting.
Right.
But I have to point out that most towns in New Hampshire hold their voting and town meetings in their high schools.
Yes.
Not at a church, though.
No, not at a
Right.
church and
Well,
that's
the
just a
reason
new
we're
thing
doing it
around
at
here.
a church is because you can't have guns in school and you can have guns in the church.
Right.
That's why.
Welcome to Alton.
Welcome all.
Same with voting. yeah.
So what do you want to say about that? I mean, I just
You
winged
know-
all this to fill in gaps, so.
I just think that where it says space is inadequate but lacks a large public meeting room. So this is a large public meeting room, so it's good for like committees to meet. We do hold our select board meetings here. All of our committee meetings are held here, but it's not adequate for a town meeting, like for a public, like,
Public meetings or even like having voting.
a voting or anything.
Voting or
Yes.
anything like that. It's
Yes.
not large enough that it is standard size and for having a regular town.
Right,
meeting.
so our concern is that it says it lacks a large public meeting room, but this is a pretty large room, but no, you can't have an exorbitant amount of people, so we just need to tweak the wording a little bit.
Right, I'll do that. But so the question there is this an issue that you don't, I mean, I agree that it's normal to have a town meeting at the high school. I mean, I think it'd be fine to take this second sentence out. I was just trying to use what I found that you guys had put in.
And yes, I would be okay with removing it.
Says, has a large meeting room, but lacks adequate storage. That's our big thing.
Yeah, that is a big one.
And I think that's the thing that I kept hearing. The other thing is we're already
We're
doing,
working on, currently, we're working on extra storage and extra room in the building.
For documents and stuff like that.
documents and for staff.
Should we be saying something about it because over the next, this is supposed to be good for the next 10 years. Is this going to be enough for the next 10 years?
For the repairs the changes that are being done now, I would say at least for the, 8 to 10 years.
Yeah.
Because a lot of the new filing system that will be done will be replaced and put back upstairs. It's gonna free up space back behind the stage here.
Yeah.
And some of that's gonna go up here, so it's getting relocated and redone.
And all the file cabinets in the Henke room, they'll be relocated.
That's gonna be another issue. That's something that
Yeah.
we still will have to work
Record
on.
management issue is the one I was referring to.
Right. They still need to be easily accessible to
Right.
all three, all land use
Exactly.
departments. We
Right,
can't
and I
be running
think-
up and
Can't be
down
going up,
stairs.
You don't wanna be
downstairs,
going
that's
up.
gonna have to stay.
Get an
downstairs.
elevator.
And obviously, we're gonna have to be careful of storage going forward, so I would just, I mean, we are currently working on
Yes.
storage. And I guess we would like
And
to
office
say,
space.
and office space, but we would need to continue to address that as needs arise going forward or something,
Does somebody want to send wording for that to just one sentence that describes the changes being made?
Yeah, I'll take care of that.
I know, I don't know about them, so I guess that's you, Paul.
I'll take care of that.
Okay, thank you. So that's Paul.
And I can only write what I find online or in the Dropbox. I can't read your mind, so.
Okay.
Nobody did town hall and nobody did school, so trying to fill in the gaps here.
I did reach out to the school and that was just difficult. Should have done it a long time ago, but it was closer towards the end of the year. So I did not get anything. So I apologize. That's why you have nothing.
I mean, it doesn't bother me to have more work. I'm just saying that trying to keep my eye on the September
I get it.
presentation, I thought I better go ahead and fill in some of these holes. At least it gives you something to respond to. So Paul will send me up-to-date language on what's going on, but then is that gonna make this second paragraph not true? Because there was a lot about that in the building assessment last year.
I think that's still a need because obviously the Heike room is not going to work.
Right, because the changes that are taking place now have nothing to do with the files.
Right. So
in the
yes,
Heike
I do
room.
think that needs
Right.
to stay
We'll
in.
have to address that, and it's something I can still talk to the current administrator about. And we can talk about that during our construction phase of the building and how the office space is changing. And I can understand the planning department doesn't want to bring files up in the second floor and have to travel back and forth, so we have to rework some of the office space that's on the first floor.
One of the other considerations in maintaining the storage of those files is that it has to be environmentally controlled. The temperature and humidity, that kind of thing.
So I would leave the storage, but I would also like to wait to hear back what Paul has to say to add into that, and then we can rework it a little bit.
Okay, good.
Would
Leave
that
this
work?
section alone.
So I made up library as well, based on what I saw them have online. And somewhere I saw mention of something about the roof. And maybe that was in the Dropbox stuff. But it just said roof. I don't know if it was a new roof or it's being repaired or needs repairing. Does it need replacing or repairing? Does anybody know?
I don't know. I haven't looked at that roof, actually.
Did they submit it for the
Was it on the CIP?
CIP?
No, because they do have some of their own funds, the library. has
Yeah, and
To go towards
Is there a
building
museum in there?
Down
maintenance,
in the
and
basement.
Yeah.
repairs and stuff.
Isn't there a museum in there too? I don't know if you want to.
Yeah, there's
Historical.
the
Society.
Historical
Historical.
Society stores stuff down there, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Well-
What I can do is I can
Show it to you.
take this little clip
Yeah,
and
but I
send it
know-
over to Holly at the library
Yeah.
and see if she could take a few minutes to fill in a little bit more information.
I can ask Holly to do that
You wanna do-
because I'll be seeing her.
Okay,
Yeah, I'll do that.
yeah, just send her that little clip. and go,
Yep.
you can add a little more.
Can you add some more? Sure.
Don't let them add too much, because then it gets disproportionate.
Yeah.
Okay.
But what's going on with the roof and something about the historical society, it might be better to just send a couple of questions
Okay.
and ask if this is correct.
And then the police station,
I had on the second paragraph, last sentence, it says 3-6 full-time positions. Is that 36 or 3 or 6?
Yeah, sorry, it's 326.
Me too, sir.
3 to 6, okay.
And this came from the police department, right? So
Yeah.
Mhm.
which that's crazy to me.
this is the first one I didn't make up.
Yeah, I was gonna say, it's a lot of detail in there.
Should be good, should be better, should be a lot better.
The rest of that section on the police department, it suggests that they have some real space issues. I don't know if we draw that conclusion or not.
Well, I'm pretty sure that's what it says.
Well,
Yeah.
but we don't say that, they really need more space than what they
Well,
currently
that
have.
whole section's like the next 10 years. So currently they're good where they're at today.
I was gonna say that.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're-
Right now, I
they're
think they're
good.
currently fine.
Yeah, this is,
But
this
10
is,
years from now, where are they?
10
That
years from
list,
now.
right, that's what it
Some of this
says.
is gonna be on here.
is where they're-
In
That's
10
what I'm
years
looking
from
at.
now.
yeah,
To start thinking about that in
If
10 years.
The third
Right now,
paragraph,
they're pretty good. Renovations on there was done not too long ago.
yeah, like 2011.
Yeah.
So midway through that third paragraph, the septic system, lack of space is the greatest concern over the next 10 years. And then it says,
But then it
Oh.
says some of the pressing needs are, and they have a bunch of bulleted items. that
Yes,
Sound
it's-
like
Right.
they're a problem now.
Yeah,
Right.
because
That's what I took
but
out of
going
it.
forward in 10 years, if we were to do this again, that's what they're probably got. They're already saying,
That's
we're
what they're
good right now,
bulleting.
but when we come back to you, and when you come back to us in 10 years, these are things that we're already know we're gonna need.
I don't think that's what they were saying.
That's not
You
the
don't
way
think
I
so?
look.
They're not
No?
saying that.
That's
They're
not the
saying-
way I saw it at all.
They were saying that the expansion was not adequate
Right,
and didn't meet their needs, and these are the kind of leftover needs.
right. Says the 2011 expansion was scaled back substantially from a 2008 plan that had been developed to serve the staffing levels that have now been reached. Some of the pressing needs are,
Mhm.
So they're maxed out at where they are.
so they're
Yeah.
saying that we got a problem now.
Yeah,
Right.
that's what I got out of it.
Yeah, I did see that. I missed that other line.
So
The
that's,
additional, okay.
so that, all that stuff should be reflected in the CIP somehow.
Mhm.
That's all. I mean,
Yep.
we're not going to change that.
Right.
This is a
And it's
report
not.
that comes.
But put it
from-
in with
Right.
the CIP.
Right.
But if there's some confusion amongst ourselves, then we need to make it a little bit clearer that that stuff needs to be addressed during the next 10 years.
During, and not in the next, after
Right.
the next 10
Right.
years.
well, it
Yeah,
says,
I
yeah,
say,
over the next 10 years.
You
Well,
can say some of
truthfully,
the
if I
pressing
didn't-
needs that need to be addressed during the life of this plan are.
Right.
Because-
Well, truthfully,
how-
I think had I taken the time to read it thoroughly and didn't just kind of, scan it because it was very thorough and I got it all, I probably would have picked up on that. I don't think it was so confusing. It was the fact that I just kind of just quickly scanned it. So that was on me.
Well, I'll just make a note to make sure.
Okay,
Thank you.
But that's definitely what they were saying, is that
Yes, it is.
they're always behind.
Because I think when Ryan was here last year, he may have mentioned that they were okay over there. So I think it's just a matter of, different view, different view on things, which is fine.
But basically what you're trying to do is
Confusion.
backfill, because you have a CIP, but you haven't had this facilities plan, and this should be the basis. Everything that's in the CIP, you want to see the need described in here. So that's going to be another good way to check this chapter when we're done and make sure we got everything.
Mm.
And I think I might reach out to the chief and talk to him about these things and say, hey, if
This is
these
what
are,
he sent in after we had
Yeah.
asked him.
if
when
you
I-
need it now, then I'd like to sit with him and maybe he can fill out some forms for CIP.
Right.
Yes.
This is
Start
what he
working
sent
on
in
some
after we had talked, and I said, give a brief summary of what you feel
Yep.
as though you need in the future and where you're at now.
Okay,
And,
and that was
uh,
after we talked CIP, so
Yeah, so see,
yeah, I'll follow.
So we
follow
gotta
up with them
close
again.
that loop. Oh, good job.
Now's the time to do it.
Okay.
Exactly.
Good
yeah.
job.
There's, under the town CIP committee space needs review, they do talk about police. In 2030, police facility is completed. 2031, police facility is occupied. So in the CIP right now, over the next 10 years, 2030, right? The 10 years, right?
Yeah.
It's only 8 years away.
It's 8
Goodness.
years.
They're saying that they are going to be doing something with the police department.
Yes.
So the CIP, I think, maybe reflects all this, and maybe it's not
It, no,
disconnected.
and it
so-
doesn't, it doesn't, the police department does not have anything currently.
Oh,
on the
really?
CIP. That's what
But
Jessica's saying.
in this space needs review from the Alton CIP committee, they talk about police.
Correct.
But it's
I
not
don't-
currently in
You
the
didn't have
plan.
any buildings in the CIP, I believe.
Yeah,
That's why I'm gonna reach back out to the chief and just say, hey.
so there is
let's
a disconnect.
Try to, yeah,
Right,
Yep,
and
there
I
may
think
be
it
some
was, I think
disconnection.
it's mentioned here because
Points.
it's about the acquisition for a future municipal complex. And obviously, they're already thinking that's, the police are gonna be in there, so that's why it's mentioned.
Yeah.
But separately, it was not.
But definitely ask him about all those bullet
Yeah.
points that he has on it. Is that something that's necessary now? Or can?
Yep. Oh, yeah, I'll take care of
It'd
that.
be good if we don't spend too much time talking about the next step of the CIP, but
I think we're good, right
Mhm.
there.
And I'll probably see him tomorrow. We have a department head meeting.
Okay,
And fire and rescue has nothing right now?
yeah, so I know that fire and rescue had sent in,
They did send in something and evidently I didn't share it.
So we have something.
There is something, yes. He updated his
Put in there, there
building
is
needs.
something.
can you just under fire and rescue say needs a
Um,
whole lot
Oh, No, Jessica has
of
something.
Yeah.
personnel, of equipment, just stuff?
yeah, and maybe that's in that Dropbox folder, the needs, but I need a description of what they have now and right, I don't have a description of that stuff.
Okay,
Okay.
so we have, all right, we need everything for them. Okay.
So
So-
who's gonna get that?
Do you want me to look in Dropbox for that?
Well, I can get what's in Dropbox if I missed their needs in Dropbox, but we need a description of the stations and stuff.
Yeah, I don't think that updated information regarding building needs is in Dropbox. I think it's just
Oh.
email on
Okay.
my computer.
I can't,
I
do
see.
Yeah, 4 fire stations.
I can't help you then.
And then, no?
So Jessica will look at that email for fire and rescue.
Okay.
So we'll move on to public works, highway garage.
Is that gonna include the description of what you have?
I will,
Right around
I will work on that with him.
Okay, great.
And am I gonna be sending, Tara, am I sending you the building needs info? That email?
Yes,
Bring that to you?
yeah, because I'll put stuff in as an updated.
Okay.
Public Works,
So Public Works, I was good,
This is good.
down at Grounds and Maintenance Department. So the last paragraph, Grounds and Maintenance Department is comprised of 3 full-time employees, 1 part-time seasonal laborer. They handle day-to-day maintenance of town buildings and grounds, including mowing, the whole shebang. I feel that we need to state that that's not enough personnel. I feel that's probably a big reason why a lot of our buildings are in disrepair, because they don't get regular maintenance. And that happens because we don't have adequate personnel.
It's also hard positions to fill all the time.
Yeah, no, I understand that. No, obviously, like, it's a whole thing, but I also know that historically, we've only had a couple of people,
2 or 3.
2 or 3.
2 or
Like,
3.
yeah,
But we also have the the public works director that can put in
Yep,
personnel from the highway department when needed.
yep,
And that's one of the good things of having the public works department.
yes, and that has
Dedicate
happened,
Other people.
Yes.
So more is getting done now,
yes.
when it's needed.
Better use of resources.
Yeah, we normally don't talk about staffing, but I could see how it does make sense in this because we're talking about buildings and deferred maintenance.
And we have a lot of maintenance needs that's been, I mean, a lot of things have been neglected just for whatever reason. So I mean,
That's why we've also had committees form to take care of various buildings.
Yep.
And take care of different things like the water bandstand, the land bandstand.
but I
Some
do feel
communities
in
have
today's
volunteered to repair.
day and age also, you get a drop off of that volunteer as well. So it's kind of like,
All right, I'll see what I can do there. And then I was confused about what I received in here of this. It seemed like cemeteries has 2 full-time employees and a part-time administrative assistant, but is that also the park and recreation one? And where do they sit? It seemed like 2 different departments were talking about the same person and having them in 2 different places.
That's a good question.
Is that third?
so who's the cemetery's administrative assistant?
Do they share one with Park and Recreation, or did I just get that wrong?
That would be the deputy finance director, also works with the cemetery.
Okay.
That's part of their position.
Who can fix this for me?
I will look into it.
I'm not writing you'll look into it. I'm writing you'll fix it.
What's that?
You'll fix it, right?
She said she didn't want you to look into it. She wants you to fix it.
Don't worry.
Will do.
Take care.
I'm putting names in the file this time. We're gonna get this wrapped up.
Paul's on the hot seat.
All told.
So then the stuff I got about the highway garage talked about how close the garage was to the river and all.
I don't think it's ever flooded. It's up, the way it's set up, I don't believe it would flood because.
Okay, it's not in the, I looked and it's not in the floodplain.
No,
Is
the
there
the pond wraps around behind it, but it's lower than the highway garage.
Yeah, so while
Not
even the
that
river
close
might
to it, right?
overflow a little bit, it's not going to affect the,
Is there an
garage.
insurance issue since it is classified as being in a floodplain?
No,
It's not in the floodplain.
Oh, it's not, okay.
no.
No. I looked at your floodplain map together with the orthophoto. It's not.
It hasn't flooded, that I know.
Still a concern if there was a spill and the salt pile. looked-
Salt pile, definitely.
Yes.
Not only that, it's in the aquifer
It's in the aquifer.
that the wells are in, the town wells are in.
Did anybody have any other thoughts or comments, questions about the highway facility?
About the what?
The highway facility, the garage?
Narrow has 1W.
Yeah, I think I just picked that.
Okay.
I don't think I proofread this. I don't think I had time.
No, I doubt it. You were doing a lot.
You're just one of 10 towns. It's been really busy lately.
Did anybody have any questions, comments about the Public Works Department solid waste?
Yes. There's no mention of the,
Swap shop?
of the
Alden Mall.
brush
Don't
and
go there.
Where are we?
brush collection area.
Oh, brush and
Just
yard
about-
waste and stuff like that?
Yard waste up there.
Yard, is it
Oh.
called yard waste? I
That's
mean,
yard
it's a
waste.
big, it's a couple of acres anyway.
Have solid waste, construction, demolition, metal, bulky waste, white goods and recyclables. It does not say it has yard waste, right?
Yeah, I guess I didn't see that anywhere.
Okay. Yard waste. Thank you,
Well,
Bob.
Well, I think the thing that's missing is the concept that there's a large, very large area where that stuff is collected. It's also ground up and
It's chipped.
it get chipped and the public is able to make use of that.
Mulch.
Correct.
I'm not sure that
That's one of the services that it provides.
is that important to this?
I think it's important. People that use it, I
I
think.
don't know if it has to be mentioned.
I don't think it should,
It's
no,
necessary.
because that could
Right.
stop like
It's
that. What if
necessary.
that's not here
Yeah.
tomorrow?
Then you're gonna have the entire town going to get mulch.
Right.
And
I
then it
mean, we
becomes a
do
swap
have
shop.
Some down here that is open
Mm.
to the public right at the Public Works Department.
But the other thing that's not mentioned in here is there's some large earth moving equipment up there that's part of the town owns and operates.
One of the things.
Well, yes,
Yeah, yeah.
that's for pushing the piles back and for
Correct.
also moving the containers.
Correct.
That's the main purpose. of
And is
moving
that,
the
I'm sorry. And those pieces of equipment are specifically for the solid waste center.
Correct.
So they probably should be mentioned
Well,
as
the
under
only time that they use is like the front end loader
snow.
is it is used at times to help during snow removal.
Right.
In the bay and downtown, that machine would come down and assist with the,
But its life is dedicated.
its
to
life
it.
is dedicated up there.
Right.
And occasionally used for snow removal.
One of,
And-
one of the things,
And the other thing having to do with that is the staff has to be licensed and trained for that heavy equipment. And not just grunt people.
Heavy equipment is usually up there. That front end loader would be done by the department head only. That usually runs that.
And
No.
is,
So I think we're getting way off track because
Yeah.
I'm not sure this has anything to do with the facility and
Okay.
whether it's adequate for current use or not.
okay.
I've seen other people.
is there a reason to mention that we participate in a regional hazardous waste program?
No.
In other words, it's every third Saturday during the summer. We go over to Wolfboro to take household hazardous waste. Is that
Yeah.
something we want?
I
Once
would
a year,
mention
they
it.
Come over here.
I think so. I think they had a meeting this morning
Did they?
here. I think it was this morning.
So who wants to send me whatever edits you want in this part?
So I have a question, and I know it's not infrastructure, but going back to the equipment up there, are the pieces of equipment at the solid waste center in the CIP? Is that part of their?
Must be.
Somewhat,
Because
I
if
think it
somewhat
would be.
again, but
It should
they
be.
I don't know
also
for
have their
sure, but
own
it should be.
like recycling revolving funds like that.
Right.
Like it's in the CIP, but it's not coming.
Okay, I
out
just
of-
didn't know if we should
Yeah,
mention
so-
that in here somewhere like we do other things. I just didn't know. Okay.
So you mentioned a bunch of things and I'm not sure, none of them really caught my attention as related to the facility. I think the hazardous waste collection should go in as a water quality recommendation to continue participating in it. So that we should.
Yes. I
Okay,
agree.
Does somebody want to send me the additional edits?
I'll send you something on a statement on hazardous waste that
Or
you,
whatever else you guys were talking about that you wanted added to
Okay.
this other stuff.
I'll
that-
do the one on hazardous waste right now.
I mean, I went with what I received, right? So,
And do we need to also mention any contracts that we have with outside companies for getting rid of the stuff?
You can, but we're also looking into the possibility of doing it ourselves.
So I would say,
Cost factor
The landfill,
at the landfill. Yeah.
yes,
a local landfill
yes,
in Alton.
Yes.
yes.
Oh, no, to remove it. You asked about companies that remove
Right.
everything from the transfer station away.
And then
We're
dispose
looking
it.
into possibly
Having our own
having
tractor.
our own truck and our own means
But-
of taking it out of the
Oh,
town.
I'm just gonna,
It'll still go elsewhere.
Of course,
Yes.
yes.
And I'm just going to interject and try to keep us on the infrastructure part.
Gotcha.
Okay, thank you. So Russ is going to send any information for that.
Oh,
Anything-
just for the household hazardous waste.
For the
I don't-
household hazardous waste. Anything else about the solid waste facility? Okay, so we can move on to Parks and Rec.
Well, all the things you guys were talking about, is anybody gonna send me edits for any of that, or are you good?
I'm okay with Russ sending information for the hazardous waste, and I don't think that
That's fine.
anything else needs to be added in.
I don't think so.
Okay. So we're good.
Then we get back to where I was confused about
Yeah.
who's where.
And so I don't know, because last I knew Parks and Rec and Grounds and Maintenance were in the same building. Is that not true anymore?
Nuts.
Parks and Rec and, yes, they were in the same building.
Okay,
They're still in the same
Okay.
building, but being assisted by the Public Works Director.
right, but
It's
currently,
needed.
But currently, we are sharing the space. Parks and Rec
Correct.
is currently sharing the space, Tara, with Grounds and
Grounds
Maintenance.
and Maintenance, yes.
Do the grounds and maintenance people no longer work for Kelly? I think that's the question.
That's correct. It's going under it's under the Highway Department.
Hey. Not you, Kelly, the other
I
Kelly.
get it.
The public works stuff conflicted with that and said
Right.
it was with them at the highway garage. I don't know. Did,
They should be with the highway, and I'm
For
sure
work.
eventually they'll be with the highway, but right now,
Right.
they're with the Parks and Rec until we
Right
do
now, they're with
something.
The Parks and Rec, but it's under the care of the Public Works Director,
Yes,
taking care of grounds and maintenance. It was felt as though that it was too much for the Parks and Recreation Department and the grounds and maintenance to be under one department head. So now that department head takes care of Parks and Recreation only. And the grounds and maintenance is handled by the Public Works Director.
right, and I think more to the
That's how
point,
it works now.
right, and I think more to the point is it just makes more sense for the Public Works Director to oversee grounds and maintenance.
That's that's the
Yeah.
main reason we hired a Public Works Director, was to take care of all our departments and to fill in where any department is needed and to umbrella all those departments.
yep, so I think that answered this, and I'm gonna take all this yellow off. There's a storage container,
Yep,
blah, blah, blah. Did it answer this other question, or do we still have that back on?
That should probably be handled under
Well,
the,
the cemetery, I don't want to go back to that. Somebody's gonna look into that.
I'll look into this. I'll take it. I won't just look into it.
It's hard when you get a
Have a
few
lot.
things, only a few things, and they don't match, so.
she was just kidding. I'm not sure how large the storage space is, so is that,
Well, it's what they said, so.
okay, then I'm
I
gonna.
didn't make that up. That came to me.
No, but it's highlighted, which means it's a question and I don't have the answer, so
Well,
I,
because I became confused about what was where, so I think
Yeah, I just wasn't sure what was.
okay, I get it.
we're all right now to go.
I get
I
it.
got rid of the yellow,
Okay,
so then I think we go to the water department.
yep.
I mean, winging it, we have 24 pages, so that's not so bad, right? We've collectively,
Any questions? Comments, concerns on the water department? Which is pretty short, and then we go to water.
Pretty short, yeah.
Yeah,
and then the water supply system was here, this 6.3. And the yellow is what is new.
Top of the tip. B.
And that's stuff that came from the water department. And that a portion of the water main on Main Street was recently replaced.
Mhm.
And we get into the hydraulic model study, but some of this stuff that came to me just kind of words I don't have the background in what they're doing to be able to add more words and make it sentences. So I wondered if somebody could circle back to the water department or even just look at the scope of work for this study and make some of these into sentences for us.
Well, Courtney did reach out and ask me if we needed anything from her. So I'm gonna take her up on
Yeah, have
that.
her
You
right
are.
away.
That's all
Assistance.
you want is a better explanation of what you got
It-
highlighted in the yellow.
Yeah, well, I mean, just I have in brackets, like it's not everything in yellow. It's in yellow because it's new. But
Yeah,
if you look where I have in the brackets, that's where we just don't have enough to make sense of it.
Okay,
all right, I'll reach out to Courtney.
thank you.
Like it just said electronic water metering reading. Well, what is it we're doing? Are they replacing them? Are there some that don't have meters? Right, just to make this into a narrative instead of a list.
Things are being upgraded and replaced as time goes on.
So it's not everything in yellow. It's just in yellow to show you that it's new, but it's incomplete.
All right,
Yeah, I would just send her the whole section.
yeah.
Okay.
She'll be able to clarify that a little better.
Yep, yeah. Okay, so then 6.4 recreation.
This should be just.
Yeah, this is what we did. So we're just gonna, are we gonna go over just the highlighted areas again?
Yeah, except I missed a note and didn't fix it last time. This Spiniff has a conservation easement was a note I was supposed to do something there and didn't. So that's highlighted to remind me. So the first change is bottom of 6-12 under the
Pearson Road.
community center that
Pearson
is
Road.
operated by the CAP. That's kind of an important point that was not in there.
Okay, yep.
So that got me wondering, like, you guys were talking about how there's potential to use that more and as an all-age facility. Does your agreement with CAP, is that a barrier to that?
I don't.
Say it again.
We have been talking about an all ages facility and she was wondering if our agreement with CAP at the Pearson Road Community Center allows for that or does not allow for that. And I'm not sure what the specific
I
agreement
think
is.
it allows for that.
What was that? I missed it.
Using it,
Utilizing the facility more for just all ages. I'm pretty sure that's open for the public
It's
to
open
use
for the
whenever we
public.
want. Yeah.
It's
Yeah, I
not
was just
known by
curious.
the public that it's available.
right, but I didn't know what your agreement with CAP was, because I know their funding is specific.
Center, right? I mean, so. Right?
It's good for all ages.
No, but that's what people call it. It's a perception of it.
Well, yes, but that's why we said very specifically, it's the Pearson Road Community Center.
I know, but I'm just saying, that's what the perception is.
Yeah.
Right, no, it was just a question, that's all. Conservation areas, this is, Russ improved this list.
Right.
It's in yellow because it's revised.
Thank you, Russ.
Thank you.
You had a question about trails, about the rail trail concept on page 14.
Mhm. We're not quite there yet.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, everything else that you had there is,
Do we need to make any mention of Mount Major at all? I mean, we don't do anything with it in the town, but it's probably our biggest.
I thought I do have it somewhere.
Didn't we already do something for Mount Major
That is in here somewhere.
Yes,
in a different chapter?
in a different chapter.
Yeah,
There was mention of it.
I know it
yeah.
was mentioned,
Yes.
So this,
not in the context of
Yeah.
recreational
what,
yeah, assets, if you will.
this language about the Blueberry Lane access is new. One of Russ's edits. And then yeah, there's my question about, because a bunch of people in the survey talked about a rail trail.
Yeah, I'm not sure people understand that you need a rail bed in order to have a rail trail.
Right, and that one was abandoned, so it must have gone back to the landowners?
There's two of them. One runs right down behind the police station down to Hannaford. It's called the Racine Trail. And the other one is what's left of the Lakeshore Railroad, which the Conservation Commission owns. And I think we wrote about those. Didn't we? Yeah, we did. The last two bullets on the bottom of page 614 and top of 615.
So when it was abandoned, did the right of way go back to the abutting landowners?
Oh, it got given to the town, and the town gave away a lot of it to individual people
Oh.
back when selectmen did that sort of thing.
Okay, then.
Okay.
So it was abandoned
Paul.
in 1935, so
Paul, where's my hookup?
it happened
Before Paul's time.
It was- Yeah,
happened in the
Pre-Paul.
1940s. Anyway, what was left over, there's one piece that's left over that the town still owns. And the Conservation Commission petitioned the town to turn it over to them in the 1970s, and that was done. So,
All right, so that answers my question. And then I think this was supposed to be yellow because this is Russ's additional language on trails. And snowmobile club. That should have been yellow.
Excuse me.
And we have some additional information on recreation that I didn't really do anything with yet, but so what do we want to do with this list? We got could somebody circle back to her and
So I don't mind speaking with Kelly, but I don't know.
more.
I don't think I'd put
know what
want
more she's
in.
gonna have to add.
She's not gonna add much more.
Yeah. This is what she says,
This is
like,
what she had.
this is what the community's asked, this is what we have. She says we don't have enough gym space, like, field space, but I don't know what else she's gonna say to that.
Okay, so what should I do with this? I mean, some of it would augment other places we talk about some needs. Should I just take these pieces and put them where they go, kind of? Because the next step, we have to make recommendations out of this, right? We have to make an infrastructure action plan next. And that's the planning board wanted it in the document instead of the separate file. So I've got to take all the action plan items and figure out where they go and reformat the document.
So
And-
the only thing I can think that Kelly had mentioned to me that we briefly touched on at another meeting was possibly expanding the field space, but needing a feasibility study. I think Russ said that would not be possible. But so I don't think Kelly necessarily has an answer,
She's not gonna have an answer.
but I think she would like, I don't know, she would like a direction, like she needs something.
Mhm.
She wants something. She needs more. I don't know how to do that.
It can
in
be a
here.
suggestion of what we
Yeah.
need over the next 10 years, to looking at the list of what some of the things that are needed over the next 10 years.
Yeah.
If we put it in that format, I don't, if you look a little bit further, community wants recreation facilities. like putting lake access for swimming and ample vehicle parking. We can't change what we own, what we already have on the lake. We're not buying anymore. There's nothing else available, so I don't even know why that's there.
But if something did become available once upon a time, like, so it should be noted, like to maybe, you know,
Not making more.
Right, but it was, that came right out in the survey that people want another beach.
Right,
oh yeah, they definitely
came
want
out in the
another
survey.
beach, but.
but it's not a reality.
Right.
It's
So
not
what,
a reality. We don't have access unless we would, a town would have purchased more area.
but
And
with so many people saying it's important, it would be something to keep on your radar if something came.
Yes,
to
and
take
so
it.
I would say that, I
it's
would
always on the
say,
radar.
keep it on the radar and have it be an action plan in the sense that if space became available, the town would consider, you know, looking into it or something. I don't know.
Well, in the past, we lost some summer camps, and the classic one was Camp Alton,
Mhm.
that got sold off to private developers. If, you know, we still have a few summer camps left.
Mhm.
If one of those came up, the town could make every.
Could make
effort-
something.
Could make every effort to try to
Right.
obtain it.
Mhm.
So I would suggest that if, like, obviously currently there's nothing available, but that could change over time. And that's something we have to, I think, continually look at, because it is very strongly suggested in all of the surveys about more lake space for town residents. We just are not able to do that right now, but we should keep it on our radar.
Radar is always out there looking for more space
Mhm.
for the town, or looking for more parking for the town, or for areas like this. Obviously, there's only so many areas the town can purchase or own that's on the lake. The latest one that sold was Downing's Landing.
Yeah.
And that was purchased by the state.
Could
So-
the town could acquire it through like a foreclosure of taxes, or, you know, taxes not
Yes.
being paid or.
Okay,
Yeah.
we need to get out of that rabbit hole. The question really was, so I have this list, and some pieces of it go with things we already have in the chapter and some don't. And that's gonna need to be resolved is one thing, and I need to know who is gonna be the contact person for that. And the second thing is, do you want the recommendations throughout this chapter, or kind of all in one place like this?
So,
Like, let me give an example. It says you need to update the skate park, but I don't think anybody told me there's a skate park anywhere. I don't remember writing that anywhere.
that was in some of the information I had sent you
Okay, all right.
about the Parks and Rec, my initial outreach.
But so I would circle back and make sure that I mentioned it and say that they need to be updated, and that would go on a recommendation. But how about meeting space for town committees? You guys just told me what you're sitting in is fine, so why is this here?
Take it out.
Yeah, that
I
should
would
go
take
up.
it out.
Yeah,
Take
take
it right
it
out.
out.
Well, Well, that's what I'm asking is I don't know what to do with this list.
Yes, I would take that out, because we also discussed meeting, yeah, we already discussed meeting room. And there's obviously the Pearson Road Community Center as well that people can meet. So yes.
And additional boat docks, we know they are needed, but the only way to obtain that is to buy more property. As
That's why you're doing a master plan. If you have an opportunity to buy it, your plan will say to do it.
Yeah.
Can't give up before you start.
As I want to do
Say that.
another left field question. What about Sunset Lake and other lakes in the town in terms of a boat and beach access? Do we have anything to do with that at all? Is that all private property?
About where?
Sunset Lake, Half Moon Lake?
Mills Pond.
I think if you start sending all the townspeople to the smaller lakes, you're gonna have an uprising.
No, we have access to Hills Pond.
That's
We
it.
have access to Half Moon Pond. So that's already mentioned it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I'll try to integrate that with the text we have. How about, some of these others just didn't seem to come up anywhere. Can you go through, talk about the wants a little bit? Like we know about the swimming, but are the others needs you want to talk about?
Places for dogs to swim and run, they just do that wherever they want.
Yeah,
don't they?
I don't think that is
Yeah.
necessarily
Take that
needs
out.
to be in there. In my opinion.
Is there inadequate lake access for small craft? Because I thought you had several.
I thought we had plenty of access for small craft.
Actually, it's a small craft. We do. I mean,
We do.
Tons of that.
I think we have tons, yeah.
All right, you're starting to see what my question is,
Yep.
about what to do with this list.
Okay.
oh, cross that one out.
Yeah, those two.
I didn't see any, I don't remember anybody in the survey asking for a community garden, but.
For
doesn't
what?
Community garden?
I didn't recall that either. I don't know where that came from.
Yes.
Like, we shouldn't be just, this is good input. This is helpful.
Yeah. and I-
Splash pad is a pretty common thing now.
There aren't any public pools though, right?
It is. Current pool collecting is.
Splash pad.
Yeah.
But there aren't any public, usually they're with public
But
pools.
was
so
that,
wherever the
was
public
that
pools are,
something
there's, like,
specific
splash-
that a lot of people wanted?
There aren't any. public
We don't have
pools.
any.
Yeah, there's no.
No, this came from your Parks and
Yeah.
Rec director.
Yeah, most municipalities have public pools and they'd have like a splash pad there. Where there aren't any public pools here.
Right.
So
You gotta put public
that one
pool.
could be taken out.
No, I've seen towns have them in a park.
That's usually where they
Not
have those
a pool.
splash pads is where the,
I get rid of the splash
I'd
pad.
probably get rid of that.
I think it's not necessary.
And you have plenty of hiking
The
trails.
hiking trail,
Plenty
it's
of
already in
hiking
there.
trails.
Yeah.
That can come out.
Yeah.
All right, good. So the needs will stick with, and I'll get them trying to integrate it with the rest of the text. I think,
Hiking trails with views of lake. I
We
don't know where
already
that
took it
came
out. It's
from.
gone.
That's
That
out
came
of there.
from.
Yeah, I don't know.
I think some of these might have been put in there because people weren't aware of it.
these aren't from the survey. This is the list from your Parks and Rec director.
Oh,
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
okay, sorry, that's what she
Yes,
said.
it is.
We disagree.
All right, so what, the other ones that she has on here, I'll try to integrate them where where we have the topic.
Okay.
I do just want to say that, was that stuff that came out after I spoke to Kelly? Because I do know that Parks and Rec held their own community forum, like maybe 2 months ago. So that might have come from their community forum as opposed to our
Right.
survey, if that's what came from Kelly. So I just.
Some of
wanted
this
to-
was after you had interviewed her. I
Right.
made a phone call to her and she sent more in.
Yes, and that was after they held their own community forum. So some of that additional, because it's not familiar to me,
Mhm.
but that additional information probably came from their own community forum that they held like last month.
Well, maybe we shouldn't take it out till somebody circles back to confirm that.
Well,
Like the question, how many, you said they had a good turnout, right?
Oh, no.
Because I mean, it makes a difference if they had a good turnout and a lot of people were saying this thing versus one person asked for a community garden.
Yeah, we
I
had-
would say at the forum I attended, there was not a lot of people. I do not know anything more though than the one that I attended. So I don't know if they did a different survey that I was not aware about or anything like that. I do believe that Parks and Rec is going to try to work on a splash pad. I
Oh,
believe
that-
that's one of their item agenda.
So
agenda items, so-
we shouldn't take it out then because you want the plan to support stuff that's going on.
Right.
And you don't have to have it with a pool. A lot of towns have it instead of a pool.
And it's usually where they put them.
Yeah, if they have a pool, it's where they put it, but if they
Yes.
don't, they have it instead.
right. So Kelly attended the last CIP committee meeting, and she did share some things, I think, about that splash pad
Yes.
and talking about, making, the access available for, handicapped and
Yes.
things like that. So there were some things that I'm gonna go back and I gotta do the minutes for that anyway. So I'm gonna go back and
We could put it,
It's like going back,
capture some of that info and see what
you could put
she
it in
did
the
talk
community
about.
center.
also one of the things going back to that, and that you mentioned that, as far as ADA compliance, that's one of the things we're also working on for the Bay Town docks as well. Looking at and looking into, ADA compliant dock and stairway to get to the docks and dedicating one area for that. That's something we're looking into as well. That's why I use the word looking into, trying to figure out where that comes in.
And going back to this list for Kelly, I do know it wasn't on our survey, but I do know that a community garden has been discussed frequently by people. It was not on our survey. And the splash pad, those were both, I think, directly from Parks and Rec. I don't want to just take that from them.
Right, so let's not take them out. So, I'm getting worried about being able to do a presentation of a final draft after we have one more meeting.
I agree.
Yeah, that's not gonna work.
That's what we'd be looking at right now, because in order for me to integrate all this information everybody's still gonna get from me into the next draft that you're gonna see at your next meeting, I would need it in the next few days, because I need to complete the next draft next week by Thursday. So I'm gonna be away the following week.
What do we want to do about that? Because we'd have to make sure that we would be able to talk to the people that we need to talk to and get all of our information over to Tara. So we need to make sure that we're able to make the contact, that our person is able to have time to get back to us. And then we're able to get it to Tara so she can get it out. So do we want to? Is that doable?
Do you think you should be maybe trying to move the planning board presentation off a month?
I was thinking that would probably be better. Is that going to affect?
I don't think that would be an issue if we did the presentation in October. I mean, I know initially we wanted to do it in August, but I don't think it's detrimental if we
No, and,
push it out a
and,
month.
and
There's nothing pending that.
And realistically, we still have Labor
Problem.
Day
That'd be
coming
fine.
up.
Mm.
That's time lost there, between now and that September meeting date. So I do think that we should probably consider pushing it up. If that's,
Pushing it back.
pushing the meeting up to October instead of pushing it back, however you want to say
Yeah.
it.
Okay, we
Yeah,
can
you're
do
right
that.
back.
Let me just make sure I'm available that date. I had blocked it out. Is it the third Tuesday?
Yeah, so that would have been September 20th.
Yes, it would have been.
So October is the 18th.
Yeah, I can do that.
October
Okay.
18th.
Yeah.
So
All right.
That would be the planning board.
So we're
Yeah,
gonna
the
have the
planning board.
planning
Planning
board
board
presentation on Tuesday, October 18th.
Instead of the 20th of
And,
September.
and
Yes.
But we still have a meeting on September 7th.
That's still, yeah, that's our regular
That's our regular
monthly.
meeting.
Yes.
for us.
Yeah, and for that, I'll have the transportation section done and I'll have all of that reformatting done of putting the action plan items in the other chapters. But I'd kind of like to wait to do the rest of infrastructure till I have all the pieces that I'm gonna have.
Okay.
Okay, then that makes sense.
I think it'd be better if you guys are gonna get crazy if you're looking at it in little dribs and drabs.
Yep. So are we moving on to dam 6.5 or?
No, I didn't do anything with that yet. That's just still text that was copied from the other plan.
Okay,
I'll see what I can do.
okay.
I've got to see if I can still get in the DES site.
we have another meeting between September 7th and,
Yeah, we're gonna have to
Yeah.
make a couple more.
Yeah, I'm not available on, which Monday have we been doing? I'm sorry.
All right.
We got too much going on now and I'm a little confused. We've been doing the
The first and third.
Yeah.
Wednesday.
is it not? First and third Wednesday. Okay, I was confused because I have your housing committee on Monday.
Yeah, on
It's on
Mondays.
Mondays. yeah.
That's this Monday coming up.
So I'm not,
Yeah.
so that'd be 4 o'clock on the 21st. 6 o'clock on the 7th and 4 o'clock on the 21st.
21st September, right?
Yep.
Yes,
So I think it'd,
Regular-
it'd be,
yes.
it'd be good, like if everybody got me their follow-up stuff on this chapter Labor Day week. By the end of, like, say, around the time we meet again. And then I can have the revisions to this chapter for the 21st.
Right, so you want that stuff before we meet on the 7th?
That's what I was.
I'm gonna be away, so it really makes no difference.
Because I'm away the same week. You're-
Right, so I mean, I would say if we say that for the meeting on the 7th, I do the transportation section and it's gonna take a couple days to do all that reformatting.
Mhm.
So, I mean, that's kind of what I can get done next week before I go away. So it makes no difference to me whether you get your homework to me now or say by the 9th.
All right,
Okay,
I'll just try to get it to you as soon as I can. Because next week I have 4 committee meetings.
Yeah,
And-
Zach starts next week too.
But I'd say if you get it to me by September 9th, when, like, after Labor Day,
What's voting?
then
Okay.
I can give you guys a
Isn't it?
draft for the meeting on the 21st.
Week After.
I need, cemeteries was hanging out there for somebody to do.
I think it's September 12th.
can you say that again, Tara? I'm sorry.
Maybe. the-
Cemeteries, we were at cemeteries, we kind of fell off the part here, but I need somebody to give me a description of cemeteries and whether you have adequate room.
Well, yes, we're working on that,
Oh,
actually.
New Riverside has an engineer working on a new design.
Yep, so can somebody write this section?
I will take on cemeteries.
And then the last question kind of hanging out there, I thought, if I can get out of this file, that one pager that the building committee,
The CIP?
right, I got kind of confused whether you had a separate building committee or that one pager that it seemed, do I have this right, that buildings weren't really in the CIP? So the CIP committee said, we need to look at buildings and here's one plan that could work, right?
Yeah, that
Yes.
was, yep.
So my question was, what do you guys think of that plan? I know there's a lot of overlap with the committee. Should the master plan facilities section be steering us that way? Should you be able to read this facilities chapter and see that plan as the logical outcome?
Yeah.
I would think so.
I mean, some of this might be the same, some of it might change. Not sure, we're having the facilities committee meeting next week.
Well, that might be canceled or postponed. So I don't know if we would have that additional information for the master plan then. I don't think it would be
Probably not.
available.
Probably not. Realistically.
So, okay, that was a question of like, whether it's, you're thinking is far enough along to recommend that as the plan or not. And it sounds like,
No, I don't think it will be
Yeah,
far
not
enough along
right.
to recommend, maybe a mention that we're currently looking into it, that we have formed that committee to look into it, but we don't have that information as of yet.
So you formed a building committee,
Yep.
Yes, building needs committee.
building needs committee.
Yeah, it's called Facilities Committee.
It's called the facilities committee, sorry.
Yeah, I got that now.
Okay.
So, formed a facilities committee. Do you want to say, here's some possible options, or just that it's looking at possible options?
I think I would leave it like really vague
Vague.
right now,
Yeah,
just because.
Just don't have enough
it-
information.
yeah, because
Yeah.
we don't have information, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, we're in the
Okay.
very beginning stages of that, so.
So,
Okay, it's just, it'd be good. I mean, if the master plan supported what you're trying to do and drove.
I would love for it too, but we don't have anything from them. I'm on that committee. I think they met once.
Yeah.
And I missed that meeting, so I have nothing.
Just not prepared or anything yet.
Yeah, the committee just formed a very short time ago, and just trying to coordinate schedules to get everybody to meet has been difficult. We don't have any information from that committee yet.
Right, we might, at the next master plan committee meeting, we might have some more information.
That'd be good, because we're kind of still working backwards, right?
Yeah,
At a CIP, and then you're looking at building needs, and then you're doing a master plan.
right.
In an ideal world, the master plan would hand the facilities committee its marching orders, and then the CIP would come out of it. So yeah, let's wait and see.
We'll try to come up with some information for our next meeting.
Like just what's okay to say, you know, whether this is being explored, because it's gonna help with grant money too, right? If you try to
Yes.
get grant money for some town facility and it's in your plan, that kind of helps. It will score higher. And there's gonna be a lot of infrastructure money hanging out there.
Yeah.
Yeah, COVID really.
And to back up a little bit, just because you said grant, when I was speaking with Kelly of Parks and Rec, again, without any real idea of what we're able to do or what she's able to do to change, I do know that obviously grant writing is important, probably to every department head. So that was one of the things that she was specific about, incorporating what we could into that section. So if they were to apply for grants, I don't know how that would apply, but I just want you to have that information.
Yeah. Yeah, good. I think that's about all we can do today.
Okay. So, good job. And I just want to, are there any other questions or comments about anything we've discussed?
No.
Okay, so we have pushed back the planning board presentation to October 18th. So our next master plan committee meeting will be here Wednesday, September 7th at 6 PM.
Got it, yeah.
And then we will have another meeting on the 21st of September at 4 PM.
At 4 PM.
At 4 PM.
And the 18th of October, we should be presenting it to the.
We'll be presenting,
Right.
yes.
And I think
And-
maybe at the next two meetings, we can maybe see if we need to squeeze in one before the 21st and the 18th,
Yes.
maybe.
And Tara just asked, obviously, even if Tara's not available, as soon as you can get her any information that she's asked for, but to just have it by the 9th over to her so she can do what she needs before our next meeting.
Right, the next draft on all of this stuff will have whatever I have by the 9th.
I did that. No, you're right. So how can
We
that,
need it before the
we
9th.
meet on the 7th? So how is that? You're right, Paul.
You would need it before that.
No,
No, because we'll be discussing something else.
I'm coming back late on the 6th.
Okay,
All right, what are we gonna be working on
on the
for the
7th.
7th?
The transportation chapter,
Right.
Okay.
That's-
transportation section. And I think you need to take a look at the reformatting where the policies and recommendations are gonna be in the narrative now.
Okay.
The recommendations are going to be a narrative,
Yes,
And will there be a-
and separate.
but there'll be also a separate. page,
Yes.
So it's going to appear in two places.
Yes,
Okay. That can cause problems in.
yes,
And
but
having
when,
the same-
but when you meet with people that don't read the plan first, they get confused when it's not in the narrative. So then we have to have it in two places.
But I think the master thing ought to be the list that we're going to use as a checklist and make sure that that's in the text.
Right, the
So
planning
That is what
board
we're doing.
got very confused.
Confused.
With that separation of, this is what we're sort of proposing, this is how we're gonna
Right.
fix it.
Yes.
But I think
Okay.
that what should rule is the list and then.
Right, if you're gonna
Yes,
use that,
yes.
right,
Yeah.
use that document.
Yes.
as
Otherwise
your
you. yeah,
Checklist.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah, totally.
Anything else? Anything else, Tara?
No, I think that, I mean, there'll probably be things that from this kind of homework list for you guys to talk about, right? I think
We have plenty.
Yes.
we should kind of have that as an agenda item of to check in on the follow-up for all this on the 7th.
But then again, the items that we're looking up and getting to you, you want that before the 7th, correct?
No,
No, she needs it by the 9th. So when
So
we
it-
come to the meeting on the 7th,
Okay.
we're discussing the transportation.
Okay,
At the 21st, we're discussing the homework from tonight.
okay, got it.
So she needs our homework from tonight by the 9th for that meeting on the 21st.
Got it.
yeah, seriously, I'm gonna be at my camp and I don't even have electricity, so.
And seriously, I don't blame you, and that's the way to go.
That's what I need.
Yeah. Okay, so are we good then?
Good.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, thank you, everybody. I guess we'll call the meeting adjourned at 5:48.
Sounds good. to
Thank
me.
you,
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Tara.
Yeah, enjoy the rest of the summer.
You as well.
too, thank you.
Have a good vacation. She's gone. She's like, "Come back."